Hi guys, we're going to go over asthma today. We just finished the allergy one, so if you missed that, go back and watch the one before that. Because a lot of times allergies is what drives asthma, and if we can, do all the things to treat the allergies, maybe we can prevent it from going into asthma. My son and I dealt with asthma for a long time. We were on inhalers every day. We were on nebulizers, um, no fun, steroids, oral steroids for different reactions. And it just seemed like one just kept snowballing into the next. And I mean, as much as eventually it did help, what I learned later on with going to school for homeopathy is that those were all just suppressing um, the symptoms and also just driving it deeper, like it wasn't curing it. Um, so what I wanted to go over was the different remedies that are available to treat asthma at home. There's different, I'm not going to go into all of it because there's different approaches. Because there's things that you can take that help actually uproot the whole thing. But you also need daily and SOS remedies to work in conjunction with it. So I'm not going to get into that whole part, which maybe we'll get into when we do like food allergies and things like that, because that's, more hand in hand. But one of the most popular ones for asthma is Cali Carb, and it's for recurrent coughs that are worse in the morning. They can be dry hacking coughs with yellow mucus. Possibly there could be some vomiting. Um, and it's good to take for when you're symptomatic. The Kali iodatum is for wheezing and shortness of breath. Waking up at night and having a hard time breathing is another specific symptom for it. The loss of voice, and also like the feeling of having like a raw air passage. That's Kali iodatum. Then there's Ipecac, and that's for gagging, an asthmatic cough, and you use that for an SOS. And the mucus is not easy to expel. It can lead to vomiting because you're like choking, like trying to get it up because it's so thick. But you can, as an SOS, you can usually give it, like depending on the severity, with the frequency, you would do more frequently until, if it was an emergency. But they're for acute situations where people are gasping for air. Did I say that already? I don't know if I did that part. Um, and then there's lachesis, and that's one of the ones that is for chronic asthma that can actually help uproot it eventually, but you have to take it on like a certain schedule. It should not be taken with Cali Carb. For some reason, that's a note. And sometimes people think more is more, but with homeopathy, it's usually less is more. So I'm guessing that that's probably the reason why it's like one or the other that you pick which one. Um, and then there's also tuberculinum, and that is one of the ones that I was just mentioning. That's like a heavier duty. You don't take that like every day or every other day. It's more on like a, every couple weeks kind of thing. But eventually it can uproot pet allergies and also dust allergies. And it also addresses like a family, tie, like if it's gone over generations, that's more of a miasm. And it can actually help uproot that. And I'm not telling you to go out and buy it. I'm just telling you so that you know what's possible. That there's, a bunch of different ways that you can do this to help treat it acutely and chronically, and hopefully possibly get rid of it for good. We're no longer on any asthma medication, no inhalers, no daily allergy medicine. We've gotten off of all of that. So that is like, that's a miracle in itself. But it was all just using homeopathy. Now there's arsenicum, which I mentioned in the last video for the allergies. It also treats a cough, and it's for shortness of breath, worse after coughing. You know, when you like can't catch your breath after you've been coughing, certain like coughs that you get.
Yeah.
It's usually worse around midnight or 1 a.m. There's wheezing. It's like a suffocative cough with frothy mucus, and it can alternate with a skin rash or eczema. So you can have one or the other or both. There's another remedy called spongy. Sorry, that wasn't me. That was the dog.
Can't hear him.
You can't? He just hacked up a hairball, I think. Uh, you might need some spongia. No.
Spongia.
What's that?
You're on Spongia.
Yeah, spongia is for panting and whistling when you inhale. Like, have you ever had that? Sometimes I've had whistling on the exhale too.
Not my son. We'll have to use my son as an example. Maybe you can hypothetically treat him on this.
Yeah, what's his problem? What are his
Well, you
symptoms?
finish and then I'll
Okay.
use him as a sample.
Okay. So there, okay, so we said panting, there's the whistling on the inhale, extreme dryness of the air passages, a deep, dry barking cough where warm drinks bring relief. It can also treat croup, and the cough can sound like a saw cutting wood. And there's actually a video that I have. It's from a homeopath in India, and he's so good. He actually mimics all the coughs. Like, I don't know how he does it, like just on cue. And then he'll be like, that cough is this remedy. And like, then he'll do another mimic of a cough. And I'm like, wow, like I have to save this video because, but I'm just so impressed that he can cough on command like that.
Definitely.
And he does the saw cutting wood very well. Um, then there's the last one I'm going to tell you about is antimonium tart. It's for the rattling sound in your chest, which that is scary. I've had that with the flu before. Little expectoration. They need to sit up to breathe or to cough sometimes. They have a pale face, cold sweat, exhausted, short of breath, and they feel weak in the chest. So, hopefully people don't get that with their regular asthma, but if you get the flu or pneumonia or, something that really aggravates your asthma that you already have or causes an asthma-like, reaction, that's definitely one to keep in mind. And that's it.
That's awesome. I wrote some of these down.
Oh, good. Yeah, what's your son's problem?
So I know we briefly talked about this, but so he has always had this little, I call it a whistle. I don't know if it's a whistle, but there's just this little noise
Yeah. But
that
is it in his throat or in his chest or his nose?
we don't
Because
know.
I've
It
had him everywhere.
definitely, I don't think it's his nose. I think it's his chest and it comes up. Like we're not sure, you
Can
know.
he feel it?
Um,
Like, can he feel the whistle?
no. When he was a baby, um, he had reflux or whatever they want to call it, but we adjusted him and we switched, some couple things and he stopped doing that. But as a child, he would eat, and I think I told you this, it was only specific things. Like if we were at a restaurant and he were to get, and he wasn't allowed to because this was really scary. If he got like the Minute Maid lemonade or apple juice, from the where the Coca-Cola is and stuff, the amount of phlegm that would come up, he
Mhm.
like you said, that choking. I think you mentioned something about all that phlegm coming up
The
in your
ipecac?
on it. That was him. And it was, I don't know, like I think it was the citric acid and stuff, but I'm not
Mhm.
sure
Or
because
the sugar.
I made lemonade at home or I made apple juice at home from scratch, he wouldn't have that reaction.
Okay.
And then he once had that reaction when someone gave him like a green candy. And I just have to run over and there's nothing I could do for him. I just have to let him puke it up. Like, but it's coming from the um the airways, you could tell. and it's just all this bubbling coming out of his mouth. And that candy, when I looked, it was like a sour green apple candy. So I was like, what
It
is
could be the
in here?
citric. Is he
Yeah,
allergic to mold? Because you know how that citric acid is made from that GMO mold.
I know. So I don't know. So as he gets older, he's kind of fine. Just when he talks, he was a pretty healthy kid. Like that's really just the weirdness that he went through. And then he got older, and like just when he talks, there's this whistle. And I've tried to record it for you, but like he's like, "What are you doing?" Like, and it's weird. So my husband's like, "Well, maybe it's reflux." So like, it could be. We've had he had nosebleeds at one point. So they've done the scope on him, and they haven't said that there was anything. Um, so he's coughed up blood too. So that's, I think, why we did the scope. And it wasn't related to any of this. It was just a different scenario. He did have he had lung surgery because he got
Uh-huh.
hurt as a fireman, and wound up having 4 ounces of fluid in his chest cavity and collapsing his lung. So that didn't help because now, and so that was a whole month of antibiotics because he developed pneumonia, and that was just a nightmare, but we're past it. But now at 20, he's like all of a sudden allergic to our dog.
Mm.
So itchy eyes, right away it starts with the watery eyes. I see it right away. Then the itchy eyes. And he's like, I'm fine, I'm fine. Then it's sneezing constantly. And then what happens? And I try to do everything, like the filters are in his room, blah, blah, blah. When he comes home, we try to keep the dog separate. I wash all the sheets. And
Yeah.
I go crazy. I try to do everything. But he gets that. He says, I didn't sleep last night because I couldn't breathe. Now he's getting
Oh my
asthma.
God.
So this is more of what
Mm.
we're talking about today is an allergy. Um, I think his lungs have always been weak and compromised, but so that's my point. But now when the dog is around, and my son's dog, and we have 2 dogs in the house, it's like and he grew up with dogs, the same breed, just they're not the same dog because one passed. We're on our second dog, and then my son has a dog. So they're different dogs. So you have different, I guess, proteins and dander and all that. But my point is it starts when he's around the dog, it starts with a full allergy attack, and then he can't breathe at night. He'll tell me he couldn't breathe at night. And then I get all nervous.
Yeah, I would be too.
And so,
I would
everyone's
get,
like, get him an inhaler and get him this. What are you doing? And I'm just like, oh my gosh. So the only thing I did do was I showed you that tincture that I got that had the dog dander in it because
oh
I've
yeah.
patients that are really young that aren't doing allergy shots because they don't want the needles. My son after the hospital he traumatized by needles. So I had a lot of young patients and they told me they got over their dog or cat allergy by it's a homeopathic tincture, or you can go to a doctor who will draw the blood, see what you're allergic to, and then they make a tincture and you take it. Almost kind of what we did with the bee pollen back in the allergy
Yeah,
podcast.
built up your
You slowly put the allergen
lungs.
in you, and then your body gets used to it. He's in college, so I don't really know if he's taking it,
Yeah, that's not.
but
But
how do I lift that?
well, I would actually have a remedy for as soon as the allergy starts, like for the
Okay.
allergy symptoms, and then also have a remedy to treat the asthma. Like he needs like when he sees that the asthma symptoms are coming on too, but then he also might need one for the SOS, like in the middle of the night when he wakes up and can't breathe. Like he could take a remedy and be better in minutes. So that's something that he should really consider. And maybe once he finds the relief, like do it when he's home and he
Yeah.
finds a relief and he sees the pattern, then maybe he'll be like, oh wait, I know what to do when I'm away at school. But yeah, I'll
Fine at
help you.
school unless he watches his brother's
Oh,
dog.
it's the dogs. That's right. Okay. Oh, but so you'll definitely be able to treat it at home because he'll be so symptomatic. Is he home for the summer?
He won't be. He's doing an internship, so he won't be.
Okay.
But I feel so bad for him when he comes home and, out of nowhere, he developed this dog allergy, which might be that his immune system's compromised from all the
The
um,
surgery.
surgery and stuff like that, that he's just weaker. And also, by the way, he won't let me do food allergy testing because I'm pretty sure he doesn't want to do it
He
because he's in
doesn't want to
college. He's
know.
like, I'm not giving up my beer. So like there might be wheat coming in the story here. He has given up dairy because he says that phlegms him up.
Oh,
So
that's impressive
definitely a
for
food out. And then you mentioned mold. So last part of my weird story, and then I'll get into my part, is when he was in the dorm, he wasn't feeling well. I'm telling you, Kristine, these weirdest symptoms I've never experienced. Like his right hand would swell up, but his left hand wouldn't. And I was like, did you get bit? Like, cause it wouldn't be systemic, right? If it's one side. So I'm just
I
like,
get that.
did you get bit? And then he had like these red bumps all over his one ankle. And then the one day he had a like swollen left knee, like weird stuff. So I go up to visit him and I'm looking in the room because I'm thinking mold. Like I'm just like, what is going on here? I open up the air conditioner. They have he's in an old school and he has an air conditioning unit in the window. It was black. I started crying. I'm like, he is breathing in these mold spores.
And they
So
didn't know to clean the filter
what?
or
No.
even inside.
What?
Oh my- Well, because then you can clean the filter, but or was it inside the vent already? Like
It
you
was
needed a
like
whole new
uncleanable.
system.
Like it was like I went down, my husband and I went down to like Target or Home Depot, bought a new one, took it out and just left it in the
Mhm.
hallway. And I emailed the schools like, this is just a hazard.
It's
And
like a biohazard.
oh my gosh, I was so beside myself. So yeah, there
Yeah.
might still be mold in them. I did a mold detox, but you're talking again, and this is the time a 19-year-old. You're trying to get them to, you're trying to mommy them, and I'm just like, and if he's listening to this, he's just shut this off by now. He's like, "Why are you talking about me?" But if you're listening, we're just trying to help people. We're trying to help people.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, that
yeah, so I think there is a mold component to this as well. When you mentioned that, I say yes. I don't think I've gotten it all out. He's not living with me. He's coming and going.
it's so hard when they're that age. Like
Yeah.
I know because mine's 21 and I make him dinner, but he wants to stop at McDonald's on the way home. You don't want to hear this one? This is crazy. He because he works at night, so he expects a hot meal when he gets home at, midnight. And I'm like, Jack, you're gonna have to heat up your food. He's like, I don't want it. And I was like, don't do this to your wife, okay? What did I create here? Like, you are gonna have to eat food that's heated up eventually in your lifetime. Like, so I had to cut him off this last couple weeks. I'm like, I'm
Too.
not doing it anymore. You can I don't want him to microwave, but there's no chance I'm getting him to like heat it up in the pot with the steam. Like, I
Yeah.
moved actually our microwave
Oh
into the
yeah, you
closet.
gotta cut your cut your losses here. Like at least heat up in the microwave in glass. You know.
Yeah, I'm like, or how about the toaster oven? And
Yeah.
he,
Oh, we use the
no.
which isn't really good the air fryer, but I don't know about the lining in that. You know, I tried to get the
Oh
steel
yeah.
one.
I threw mine out. The black ones are the ones that are the problem.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what I did? And I was looking at the glass ones and I was like eyeing them up. I was waiting for them to go on sale. And I was at Goodwill for something else just to see what they had. And I found like an old school 1990s. It's a glass air fryer, but they called it something else, like the Galloping Gourmet makes it or something.
Been
But I
around.
was like,
Yeah.
no way, this is the same thing that they're selling now as the glass air fryer. So I bought one. Um, but yeah, the black, that smell, like I knew the smell, there was something wrong with it when I got that air fryer. But it kind of burned off after a while, but no good. I didn't realize how bad it was. And then I just threw it out. And he's like, what are you doing? That's the only way I could cook food. I was
Yeah.
sorry. It's gone. Um, there was something I wanted to tell you. Oh, the other, when we had the fire a couple
Yeah.
weeks ago, it was like I don't know, 20 minutes away or whatever, but it was like floating over by us. And I was talking to my dad on the phone one of those nights, and I heard him when he was talking, like he's saying a word and then he
Yeah.
say another word. Like it makes my throat tickle, but there was every breath in was a little wheeze. And I was like, okay, all those remedies I got you, because they're still like learning. And I was like, take aconite, because aconite is, I use it sometimes like if I feel like I need an inhaler. I use that instead, and it just kind of opens up your airway. I didn't mention that one because it's not specific to asthma, but in a jam, it can help. And so he did, and he was fine. It went away. And I was like, oh God, I'm glad I was on the phone with them, because he wouldn't have known. And how long would he have been doing that for?
Yeah. I definitely want to get some homeopathic remedies for when he's home.
I want to go over that one
And
with you, that
people
tuberculitum. That's the one that you take not as often, but it can, like, you have to take it for a long period of time,
used
but
to
it
live
can
with
uproot
pet
the pet
allergy.
allergies.
And so how
So
does he take that?
I'll tell you, I can't tell you here because I have to
Yeah, we'll
keep
do that
doing it.
later.
Like,
Yeah.
and not
No.
because I don't want you to not know how to do it. I can't give medical advice. Like, I can
No.
help
Yeah.
him in his specific situation when you tell me his specific symptoms, but I just want everyone out there to know that I can't say it here because everyone is different and everyone presents different. And what I'm going to say for him isn't going to necessarily be for, everyone else.
Yeah, and same here.
But
So
we're going to be teaching classes. So if people do want to learn, I finished school the middle of July, and I'm going to go right into their ambassador program and teach the Gateway to Homeopathy classes. And honestly, when I took those by the second class, like you have your book, you have the whole program on the computer. By the second class, I was using it. So as long as you're like learning the ins and the outs and like the little tips and tricks and just the foundation of it, you're able to use it. It's just don't go and pick one off the shelf if you don't know anything about it and start treating people.
yeah. So I know I'm asking her what to do for asthma because it's one of those things I don't see that common in functional. It's just people are coming to me for like all this other stuff.
Yeah,
But in
autoimmune.
chiropractic, I do have people that are asthmatic. And I think the thing about asthma with me is that people are just treating with inhalers. And it's just not something that someone says, hey, what could I do, naturally? I'm asking you because I don't want to go in that direction. So I think it's just
Mm.
one of those things that I don't see a lot because it's just one of those things people are already treating with the medicine. But chiropractic, I do have people coming to me for asthma specifically with chiropractic, but they don't go further and say, hey, what could I do naturally? I just have my inhaler, I'm doing great, whatever, when they have their SOS, situation. So I would love to learn for you homeopathically for my son, but also I can tell a patient, hey, you could try these remedies, if you want
And
to.
they don't know, like they're
No,
probably not asking you because they don't know what's possible. So that's
right. So
why I
that's why
keep
I was
sharing.
excited I was taking notes if you guys didn't notice, because I would like to have something to offer them. Um,
Yeah, I had
and
no
educate
clue.
them on knowing that there's more. But chiropractic is back to what I said with sinuses. And if you didn't get that part, my whole story, allergy and sinus seasonal allergies is what led me to chiropractic. And we talked about how the cervical spine, those nerves come out and they'll help the lymph in the neck drain, the sinuses drain. So the brain is communicating to your eyes, ears, nose, throat through the nerves in your spine. So it's helping that autonomic nervous system. It's helping that system modulate, regulate, whatever word you want to use, and just balance out so the organs work properly. If we go down to the thoracic, which is like where your back is, where our bra strap is, that back between the shoulder blades, right there is the center for the lungs. So like that spinal cord is there. Think of a tree trunk and all the nerves that are coming out of the cord, like the branches on a tree, they're going to the lungs. So again, to get that nervous system, that innate intelligence, right? That divine intelligence that floats above, down, inside out in the body, to get that to communicate properly with the lungs, help that lungs know what they have to do, function properly. We adjust that spot because those nerves were affecting those nerves there. If there's any kind of subluxation or vertebra out of place or misalignment, I know I have a crooked spine right there in my bra strap that I've had my whole life. That's going to affect, which by the way, my weak spot is, I've said before, is my lungs, my bronchitis. And but I have a slight, I wouldn't call it scoliosis, we'll just call it a turn or a slight curve right at that spot. So I'm compromised in the area that, is
That's a
the,
problem.
yeah, energy supply, the innate intelligence supply to the lungs. So my joke is if I die naturally, I'm probably going to die of pneumonia because my lungs,
Say
my
that.
lungs are compromised. But that's what Jacqueline died of. He like died 90 something years old.
Oh my God, he was incredible.
Incredible. Um, so chiropractic definitely for asthma. I definitely would do that. We also would go back to the lifestyle changes where I really believe we have that HEPA, the HEPA filter in my son's room, in my room, that helps reduce the allergens in the air because asthma can be triggered by the allergies, as I just explained with my son with the dog, but also mold, also, pollen, things in the air, dust. Just get that home as clean as you can, especially the bedroom. Mold and dampness is something that triggers the throat, the eyes, ears, nose, throat. So that's a big thing. Bathrooms, basements, keep them clean, keep them dry. That's another thing that, again, if your son's at college, they're using bathrooms, or if they have their own apartment, are they really, you know, wet towels, all that stuff. I don't even want to get into, like I said, mold in the air conditioning unit. Um, so, you know, mold is actually a very, it's a trigger for asthma and definitely sinuses. So this is something that I learned in a webinar, and I was just like, my mouth was dropping, and I was like, oh no. Um, so when there's mold around, they have little spores and you're microscopic and they're in the air and they go in, you breathe them in, and they love your sinuses. They love the eyes, ears, nose, throat. They love the lungs. They love anything moist. So that's
Yeah.
where they go live. And so that could be a trigger. We test for this. We help you with this. I can't give you a protocol, right? Again, treat you through a a podcast, but that's something that you definitely want to look at with mold, mycotoxins too, environmental triggers we didn't even get into because we're not getting into all these allergies, but there's also pesticides and environmental triggers like plastics, you know, things like that. But I'm not even gonna get into that. So what can you do for asthma? So a big thing is breathing training. Believe it or not, we've done this with my son after the lung surgery, and it's big. And something that I learned through this was that we don't breathe properly. Like we
No.
don't. We're all shallow breaths. And so this
I
was one thing
definitely.
that put him in the hospital because after he got hit by the fire hose, well, he didn't get hit by a fire hose, he was holding it and it was banging on his chest, and he got, you know, he got a lung contusion. And it got bad, and the nurse was telling us, who used to be a fireman, she's like, he was probably taking shallow breaths after he got hurt and wasn't letting his lungs expand. It's very, very common in surgery, especially elders when they fall. They just take short breaths because if you break a rib, because you're afraid to take that deep breath, and then that's how your lung kind of collapses because it doesn't really inflate big. And I learned that through the nurses at the hospital. So I probably learned it in school, but just kind of forgot at that time. And when you're in mommy mode, you're not in doctor mode. But
Mm.
deep, deep breaths. You try to fill your lung up as much and hold it actually for, you know, a couple seconds. I don't want you to pass out, but just allow your lung to be full of air and hold it in. And then another thing I learned with chiropractic was take that deep breath and then blow it out as far as you can. So it's like a deep breath, right? And you can hold it. And you could just do that. You can hold it and let it out. But if you want to do some diaphragm training, you take a deep breath in and then you blow out as hard as much as you can possibly blow out. So you go, let's keep going.
Oh
And,
yeah, that's tough ending.
and what that does is it draws your diaphragm down, helps the lungs expand. We get all crunched up in there. So deep breathing, those two breath works are just phenomenal, and we don't do them enough. Yoga too. Yoga has a yoga breathing that's fantastic. So look into that. Um, Stress is another big thing that drives asthma. I know that when I was stressed out through my other son who was getting kicked out of schools and we didn't find out he had Asperger's and all this stuff, I was always getting pain in the diaphragm. And what it was is the diaphragm, I think I was holding my breath. You know, some
Yeah.
people stress is literally in that thoracic spine where you hold your breath. You're just constantly stressed. You don't realize those rhomboids, you're holding all that energy in that thoracic spine. So like, I think acupuncture would be great there as well. But stress is a lot of stress is hold at the top of the diaphragm, right in that thoracic spine, which is going to affect your lungs. So a lot of that is related to that. What you can
That's
do
interesting.
is got to
I,
control the histamine if it's allergic reaction, like you mentioned. So if it's an allergy related, you got to get that histamine under control. So go back to that podcast that we talked about. But some of the supplements that I love are the vitamin C, just again, absolutely phenomenal. And I love the one, I keep talking about it when I talk about vitamin C. It's by Quicksilver. I wish I brought the bottle. That was great. You brought your stuff. It's Quicksilver Scientific. They have a liposomal vitamin C, and it's fantastic because you absorb like 100%, 99% of it. Again, we talk about glutathione and NAC, which is N-acetylcysteine. They help with the immune system. They help with detoxification. So again, if we've got mold and we've got any of these other allergens, we have to work with that. And what something I didn't mention that really helps is omegas, your omega-3s. So it's your fish oils. So they help keep the body anti-inflammatory for the airways. They help calm the airways down. This one I haven't used. I'm, cordyceps mushroom. mushrooms, all the mushrooms that they put now in the coffees and stuff like that. It's supposed to support oxygen and help lung strength. So cordyceps mushrooms, I haven't used it with him, but that's something I was thinking of using. So that's just something. And then this one I know about. I may not say it right. Mullein,
Oh yeah,
Mullein. Super
that
good
hitting.
for relaxing the bronchioles. You could do it in a tea. Like they have that mullein tea.
That's what I
That's,
do.
yeah, you've
It's
done
like
that?
taking, it is exactly like taking, what's that, Mucinex?
Yes. Yes.
It just starts coming up. Like sometimes my son's like, yeah, no, I don't want that because he doesn't want to get it off.
I know.
But
I know.
it's amazing.
I have used those teas with my son before. But let me see what else we have here.
The other thing I want to mention is when we were at our sickest, my son and I both had a vitamin D level of 16. So when we got it up, it made a huge difference in our lungs. So that's just,
Honestly think you just read my mind because the next thing I was going to say was vitamin D. I'm not even kidding. Like,
I
I was
had
like,
no
kind of like
idea.
freaked out right now. She not get to find it.
I mean, and I was like, oh, what's 16? I didn't know. They're like, yeah, we want it to be like at least 60, maybe even like 80. And I was like, oh wow, we're really low.
Yeah. We shoot for 50 because that's like with, but here's the thing about vitamin D. And I've been working with vitamin D forever. It's one of the ones that drives me crazy because when I first started out, the amount you needed was lower and then they raised it. I'm like, all right, fair enough, whatever. But it's hard to meet that level. 80 is hard to meet. You know, most people are 40 or 50, which is 30 under 30, I think is where they tell you you're deficient. If I'm correct, I might be mistaken of exact
Mm,
number, but I know like 50 where I'm like, okay, you're good. Um, the best source, I know people are gonna yell at me, is the sun. It's the sun.
yeah,
The sun is the
that's what
best
got me
source.
out there, sitting outside every day
Yes,
to
get
get
out.
my.
And if you're terrified of it, go in the morning, go in the afternoon, stay away from the, high noon. And don't put sunscreen on. Get out there for a half hour, 45 minutes. We're not asking you to lay out like, and put baby oil on you and burn your skin. We're just saying get in the sun. So what I
Yeah.
started doing for one of our podcasts, thanks Vanessa, is when I do my walk, I don't put my sunglasses on. I wear a little hat so I don't get the headache from the sun, but I don't wear my sunglasses now. I wear the hat. And that's so the sun it'll reflect back into my eye. Sorry if I hit this. I don't know if it got that bang, but also has to do with the cones and the retinas in your eye, and it's getting into the brain. And she knew it better than me, but that's definitely something that you want. You want to not always be covered up in the sun too. So vitamin D is going to hit the skin. The other thing you need in your skin is, believe it or not, the omegas. So the omega-3s are important for this communication between vitamin D and the sun, or I should say the sun hitting your skin and converting to vitamin D. You need omegas. So you got to eat omega-3s, and that's basically uh cold water fish, wild caught fish. You can also get it in like avocados, extra virgin olive oil.
Mm. Oh,
Um,
good.
get it in nuts and seeds.
And flaxseed, right? That's what I
Yes,
try to
yes,
get that in that.
flaxseed, flax oil. So your omegas, right? Trail mix is really good. The only thing I can warn people on nuts, the way you ruin them, and be very careful because I still make this mistake to this day. And I always want to be like, Lisa, how could you do this? You keep making this mistake. How do you keep doing this? When you buy nuts, a bag of nuts, you turn them over and it should just say what it is. So if you buy a bag of walnuts, it should just say walnuts. If you buy a bag of pistachios, it should just pistachios. It really shouldn't have any else things in the ingredient. The only other thing that should be there is maybe the word dry roasted. That's it. Once you roast them in oils, they use all these bad oils, these man-made oils. And so that's where seed oils come bad. Seed oils in the seed are not bad. And I'm talking about this because this is all omega-3s. This helps with everything we talk about, right? But it's very confusing. You can take a beautiful sunflower seed and the oil inside the sunflower seed is very healthy for you, but you fry it up or you roast it in, let's say, hydrogenated soybean oil, right? And now you ruined it. So you
Mhm.
don't want to see the word oil on the bag. You don't want to see sugar or salt on the bag as well. And so where I tend to mess up is I'll grab it and it has salt in it, which isn't the end of the world versus the oils. But still, you don't need your
They do
nuts
need
salted
salt.
and sugared and oiled up.
Yeah.
But
They do need
toast,
salt though, I feel like. The
oh, you
nuts.
do? Well, let your palate get used to not having salt on your nuts. No?
Yeah, I guess. I don't really eat them that much anymore. Um, but I sold everything because of the pots, because it just helps like
Oh,
retain the
yeah,
blood
yeah,
volume.
yeah,
So, better than, because there's people that have to take like salt tablets to keep theirs up, and I was
yeah.
like, no, I'll just salt everything I make.
That's true.
Um,
That's true if you're using a good salt. The
yeah,
other thing
that's
that
what.
might help at night, I take this, but this is the last thing I'm going to say, and I'll let you guys go. Magnesium. So you mentioned it before, and then I asked you which type, and you're like, just use the Epsom salts, right?
But
Uh,
it's not always convenient. That's the
no.
only problem.
If you wanted to do a magnesium supplement, it's confusing because there's magnesium citrate, there's glycinate, there's I'm spacing, but there's like one with an L and one with a T. I don't know, it's theanate. Um,
Yeah, I
and
switched.
it's quite confusing, but the citrate I take at night because it's a laxative.
Ooh.
And so with the thyroid, I get constipated. So I take one at night. It's calming. It helps you sleep. And then I have a nice stool in the morning. So that helps me keep me regular, but I wouldn't suggest citrate personally to people if you don't have any kind of constipation issues. So then you might want to go to glycinate, and that's the one I give
That's
my
what I
son.
do.
And that's more you could use for anxiety, calming, stuff like that. But I know that some of the companies have their own, I've got I've read about certain ones, like why they use citrate, and they'll say, what's a different form? It's not necessarily laxative. So I know there's like different things that companies say about how they, make their product. So you could always do that. But my suggestion in general, rule of thumb, is use citrate for laxative and the other ones for more of the other things. Now, the last thing I got to say is you're going to be on social media, and they're going to tell you that magnesium is the number one deficient nutrient. I have never found a magnesium deficient in anyone. I can actually make that claim. I haven't seen it deficient in any of my patients, and I do a lot of vitamin testing. I'll tell you, I see selenium deficient in everybody. I see vitamin D low in everybody. I see the B vitamins low in everybody, but I do not see magnesium. Why magnesium is super and why it's so popular is because it's therapeutic. It's beautiful. So if you
Mm.
need to be calm, it'll calm you. If you need, like I have girls who have cramps with their menstruation, it calms them. It's the best thing for constipation. It works beautifully. So it's just so beautiful, therapeutic, anxiety. Here we are talking about asthma. It's just beautiful. It draws things out, right? Like if you're going to do an Epsom sea, the salt bath, or the foot one. So it's just I'm not what they're trying to basically say on social media. It is fantastic therapeutically, but I have never seen it deficient. And I test inside the cell and I test inside the blood. So outside the cell, inside the blood. Like I do really deep testing. So I kind of want to clarify that on this podcast because not everything that these big gurus and functional get on there, and I don't want to mention their names, but not everything that they say is true. Sometimes I'm yelling back at my little phone going, that is so not true. Like,
I
but
wonder what foods
I think
it's
I do
in that
too.
people get enough of it. Like, is there? I have to look because I don't know about that one, but I'm wondering what I eat that is high in magnesium just to see, you know, if it's something that I eat commonly.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just like all the testing, I've never seen it. I was always expecting it to be from what they all say, but it's just not.
I
The B
was wondering
vitamins
because
are
of
the
my
number
blood
one.
pressure.
Selenium is the number one mineral that's deficient in everyone, and it's super serious because it has to. Every cell needs it, and
Oh,
especially the glands. So every the cells inside all the glands need it. So like thyroid, breast, uterus, ovaries, prostate, testicles, they need selenium.
mhm.
So when I see that, that's low in everyone. So I always tell people selenium and zinc is important. I think selenium is the Brazil nut. That's the number
Yes,
nut.
that's the only one that I knew that had it. So I have to look and see because I
Yeah.
will make sure I've gotten that.
Um, but that's what I have for asthma. You could Google. I'm not very good at this. We've been playing with this, but again, I just don't get this many cases. Now I have my son, so of course it's brought to me. So you become an expert. I am going to help my son, and then I'll be able to tell more people about
Yeah,
specifically asthma. But those what are those things called? I'm spacing on
the
the
inhaler.
nebulizers. Is
Oh,
there something natural that you can put in that?
yeah. There's
Because some people,
peroxide. but it has to be like food grade.
Yeah, you have to be very careful what you put in that, but
Yeah.
there are natural things that you can put in that to help heal the lungs too. So I don't know much about that, but you could look that up and
I've been nervous and I've been open to trying it, but I haven't needed to, so I'm kind of
yeah,
looking
and
forward
why go
to it.
there if you've overcome asthma with homeopathy? Why would you even go there with a
Yeah.
nebulizer? So I
Well, God forbid you do get like a flu or something like that or pneumonia. There could be a time that you need an inhaler, and I wouldn't want to take, a steroid necessarily if I didn't have to. So that's when I would try it. I also heard colloidal silver. That one makes me a little more nervous. I don't know why, it just does. I guess because I have a reactive airway.
right.
So like I don't know what's gonna happen.
No,
I
it's
don't like
scary
everything
to
else.
nebulizer, yeah, because now you're putting it in the lungs and
Yeah, the whole lining of the
they
lungs.
I
And
know that in functional, they say to do that for getting the mold out of the, sinuses sometimes, but,
I
what
really
you
thought
can
about
do
it.
for the mold in the sinuses, I think is a bit more safe, is an air diffuser in the room, and
Hmm.
you put in some of the high grades essential oils. Plant Therapy is a great company, Young Living, and you can use and that's where we'd have Lori, but
Yeah.
there are some you can
Yeah.
Google that, some essential oils you can put in the room, and so, right, if we're worrying about mold in the room,
Yeah.
you could
Also, plants help clean the air, like spider
oh,
plants
yes. Oh, we
and
the most
ivy,
obvious, plants.
peace lilies. Like there's a good amount of plants because I try to keep them, a few in each room just to help clean the air.
I know with
Um,
my son in general, I'll put, like, eucalyptus,
ooh, I'm
um,
allergic. Yeah.
oh, you're allergic to it, but,
Oh yeah.
that'll help him breathe, and so it kinda like the Vicks that your mom used to put on you,
Yeah.
but you could use, and again, you gotta be careful with dogs and pets of what essential oils you use, or, like, if
Yes.
you're allergic to it, don't do it, but, peppermint, um, eucalyptus you could put in, and it helps you breathe better too. It's kind of like that Vicks idea. But yeah, we didn't get Lori on because she couldn't come on today, but we could actually pick
Yeah.
her brain for aromatherapy.
And Pure Haven, that I've used before, I really like their products. They had, I'm not sure if they still do, but it was like a natural version of Vicks, that was like in a, non-petroleum base.
Yeah.
And they also had like a spray that you could spray on your clothes or your pillow. It just helps keep your airway open. So I'm sure there's other companies that make those too. So just look around and see,
Yes, definitely.
you know.
Do you
Okay.
have anything else to share?
Not today, I don't think. I think that's it. But also, like we said before, like get the allergies under control so that can help prevent the asthma from getting to that next level. So I think that's important. So if you didn't see the allergy show, go back and watch that.
Yeah, I think that's a big point too. In functional, we would be looking at like what are the allergens? And also I didn't mention the gut, getting the gut aligned is really, really important too, because any kind of inflammation or any kind of opportunistic co-infection that might be going on in in the gut or the blood can affect the lungs. So the lungs are, they're filtering things. So you
Yeah.
gotta
One more thing.
just possible
Uh,
causes.
what's that?
Just look for possible. I was agreeing with
Yeah,
you, like look for possible causes or triggers and try to,
you gotta remove
work
them.
on those. Because
Yeah, we had to get
the asthma, it might be a symptom, right, of something else.
design.
You can treat the asthma, but what I found with asthma, like with my son, it's the dog. So I
Yeah.
have to go and deal with that, and I'm not getting rid of the dog, but we have to deal with
Mm.
that, you know?
Yeah, we did go through mold remediation when I would say, I don't even know how many years ago, 15 years ago. Our basement actually had an issue. So it was definitely a problem and it can elevate things, especially mast cell disorder. I just want to mention Nat Sulf is another one of the cell salts that comes from Highlands. One of these little things. It's more of a nutritional supplement. It's kind of like a homeopathic, but in a cell salt form. But Nat Sulf helps with mold detox. So just
Okay.
throwing that out there. And those
Yeah.
you can't put yourself in, you know.
Yeah, you do sometimes have to think, mold, environmental toxins, um, parasites, funguses, limes. Like you just have to sometimes think out of the box, like what is going on here? And is it, why? Why do I have asthma? So that's what I
Mhm.
would challenge people is dig deeper with it.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Thanks
Okay.
for coming on.
Have a good
Everybody listening
weekend.
to us.
Yes, and Lisa's going to Italy, so that's
Ah,
exciting.
go away.
And I can't wait to see all the pictures.
I
And
know. I just
we'll be
want to
back
eat.
in. Yeah, eat all the food that's not going to make you sick because
Yeah. So I'm gonna do an experiment, just so you know. Let's bring this out here. So
yeah,
I cannot have gluten. I have wheat. I've been wheat and gluten free for about 5 years, 6 years. And it totally solved. I had irritable bowel really bad. So that went away through food sensitivities. But from what I hear, my patients that cannot have gluten that go out to Italy or they go to France or Jerusalem or Greece and they have, let's just use Italy because that's where I'm going, but they go away, right? And they have the bread out there and they're fine. And they come back here and think they're healed and they started up here and whatever their symptom was comes back. So my little experiment's going to be, I'm going to go and eat that pizza. I'm going to go eat the pizza out there, the focaccia. I'm dying for it. And we'll see if my irritable bowel comes back. I'm hoping not.
yeah. You know what I did was because
I
I
should
was
have done the
gonna.
lifting through the homeopathic to make sure it was
Well,
completely,
I
you
was
know,
thinking about telling you some to bring
the
with you
cells
just in
struggle,
case.
right? The cells are still got
Yeah.
the the problems, but also some of these not necessarily food sensitivities, but some of the bugs and the pests in there, they leave films and biofilms. So sometimes you're still struggling with these things. So I don't know. I should have probably done the homeopathic before I went, but
Well, no, maybe bring it just in case it doesn't work. But what I want to mention is I ran out of my regular like organic flour that I was getting at Costco, and I ordered it off of Amazon from Italy. Completely different. So if you do well, you'll be able to order it online and get it
yeah.
here.
Well, they
But
say it's totally different
incredible.
and it makes sense because they're not going to genetically modify it, right? They're probably not using, glyphosate,
No,
never say it, Roundup.
yeah.
We just they don't probably it's from what I hear, it's not enriched and bleached and um
Yeah, it's not have doesn't have folic
oh,
acid
and
in
it's
it,
the
none of that
no-nuts. I'm
crap.
going to Bari, so that's the no-nuts on the street making the pastas, and you're gonna be sitting next to them rolling the pastas. I can't wait. I'm 100% Italian, so I just can't wait to get there.
Oh my God, that would be the most exciting
Hoping
thing.
that I could eat this pasta and this bread and just finally enjoy some of my childhood foods.
Yeah, it's so much more tender than because I used it for Easter. I made a cake with it. I made cookies. I made pizza. I made strombolis. Like I made a bunch of stuff, and everything was so much better. So I'll be doing that from now on.
So you were doing organic flour from Italy.
Yeah, I think, and it was actually not that bad. I got 11 pounds for $20.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, the gluten-free stuff,
yeah, and
I
it
don't
wasn't that
really
much
use a lot
more.
of it because it's again a lot of additives in the gluten-free food. So you're just getting moved over to box
Yeah,
foods, and I don't really eat box foods. So
yeah, I did not like the blends. I mean, as much as they were, but they're also made from other questionable flours. So
exactly,
yeah, that's why I
exactly.
stuck with the
Just bring
organic
our green.
regular. So good. I'm excited for
Yeah,
you. I
I'll let
can't
you
wait
know
to
a
see
little. You
pictures.
guys will know if I had to, needle bile attack out in Italy. For me, I'm gonna do it right when I get there because I cannot do it at the end.
Oh my gosh. I'm sure you'll be fine.
Yeah.
How exciting. Okay, guys.
Thank you.
Well, have a good weekend and we'll see you in a couple weeks.
Yeah, we'll see you soon. Bye.
Okay. Bye.